What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today we're having a look at a brand new batch of level limit breaks that's arriving to the game. And this is actually a pretty significant batch because this is like an old school batch of Ericv characters that haven't been received a buff in literal years. And the fact that they're giving these characters random buffs nowadays is pretty insane. So this is a big deal, honestly. Like, the fact that they're just giving a bunch of these older characters these random buffs out of the blue is a big deal. So hopefully we see more of this stuff in the future. And the whole reason why they're doing this is mainly due to this character right here, Whitebeard and Ace. So in terms of why they're doing this character, let me go ahead and find it real quick. Whitebeard and Ace have a really random ability where when you use characters that are under the Whitebeard Pirates tag, right here, Whitebeard Pirates Commander tag, when you use a character that is one of these units and you activate a special of that character, you apply a random ability to your crew. So the fact that they have added this character to the game, what they've done is they've gone ahead and given a bunch of level limit breaks to some of the older Whitebeard Pirate Commanders, because we haven't received really a lot of good characters in this kind of realm of being Whitebeard Pirate Commanders, and you do get beneficial effects by running characters that are in this realm. So this is actually a pretty big deal. I'm going to pull up right now the website in terms of like what occurs if you do activate certain character specials, so we can kind of go through that for you guys in this video here today. So the first character here is Izo. So Izo is going to be receiving a buff. This is, again, one of the first characters that has been released in the game. Level Limit Break Special reduces all enemies' Rainbow Shield, Blue Shield, Threshold by 1. And then you get a 3.25 chain lock for 2 turns. Block, strength, and quick slots become dex, and then changes dex slots into Wano slots. So that's a pretty unique effect that this character gets access to. And if we go ahead and pull up this website real quick, let me go ahead and zoom in real quick so you guys can see exactly what's going on. This character has an effect where if Izo launches a special, let's find exactly where that is. So if Izo launches a special, you will get the effect of ignoring immunity to status effects and applies increased damage taken status to all enemies 2.5 times for 1 turn. That's really, really solid. So basically, if this character is used as a sub, you get this ability plus 2.5 times increased damage taken through immunity when Whitebeard and Ace is your captain. So that's a pretty solid effect overall. We have Blamenko here, also receiving a level limit break. Reduces the duration of barriers by 1 turn. Strength, tandem, recovery slots are matching for 2 turns. Block, dex, and quick slots become strength slots and applies increased damage taken 1.75 times to the enemy for 1 turn. Again, let's go ahead and pull it up real quick, not that video right there. So this is Blamenko. So when you use Blamenko special, it's also going to remove 6 turns of defense and then further increase enemies' damage taken by 0.5 times. So if you count this into effect, you activate this effect, which as long as the enemy doesn't have full immunity, it's going to be 1.75 times. Adding 0.5 onto that, it's going to be a 2.25 times increased damage taken, which is pretty solid overall. We move on to Thatch. I was kind of surprised that Thatch was going to be included in this batch as well, but he's also going to be receiving a buff. He greatly increases the chances of landing quick recovery slots for 3 turns, changes block slots into recovery, all other slots are randomly changed into recovery in tandem unless they're matching, reduces counter recovery by 2 turns, and if you have increased damage taken status on the enemy when you launch the special, it'll increase that buff by 0.4, and then also reduce this character special by 9 turns. So it's interesting where you can basically launch this character special like again, so being able to launch it multiple times per turn to potentially remove multiple turns of counter recovery is a big deal. Again, not going over to that. I want to go over to this. So this is going to be Thatch this time. So if you use this special of Thatch, it's going to be increasing enemies taken damage by 2.5 times. So being able to use this special whilst also inflicting 2.5 times increased damage taken that does bypass immunity, like that's a big deal. Being able to get all these additional effects added into one is pretty clutch. Now Mule is the next character here. It does a little bit of damage. And it also reduces bind duration by 6 turns, and then Fighter Powerhouse get 2.75 times damage for 2 turns. Again, we're going to look at Namule, so you'll get like the damage, remove the bind, and then the special ability of Namule will remove 6 turns of defense, and then increase damage taken by 0.5 times. So again, these effects are like fine, but when you count this plus the Whitebeard and Ace's captain ability into this, it does actually make quite a big difference. So Raikuya is the next one. Sets enemies' defense to 0 for 1 turn. Captain and this character slot becomes Sai. Color affinity boost for 1 turn based on the number of times that this character special has been launched. So on initial launch, it's 1.5 times, but it can scale up to a 2.5 times color affinity boost. and then also reduces Rainbow Shield effect by 50%. So basically, if they've got like an 80% damage reduction, this effect will make that damage reduction become a 40% reduction, and then changes crew size slots into rainbow slots for 1 turn, which is kind of unique. So if Raikuyo uses a special, it's going to, again, remove defense up by 6, and then increased damage taken will be buffed. So very interesting. It's kind of counterintuitive to set defense to 0, but then remove enemies' increased defense. Little bit of a weird buff, honestly. A little bit of a weird change, but it is what it is. There's the other good Raikuyo rare recruit, which is kind of cool. Fossa. He does a bit of damage, reduces damage nullification by 1, and if the crew's attack up status is active when you launch the special, it applies a weakened status, which increases increased damage taken by 1.3 times for all enemies, further 1.25 if they have that buff, and then that will last for 1 turn. So if Fossa uses a special, you'll get access to this final ability, which reduces threshold by 6, and then further increases your base attack boost by 1,000. Pretty good effect overall. It's just a little bit of utility added on top of that, so long as you're using these characters with Whitebeard and Ace. If you're not doing that, I just don't think there's a lot of value in these characters, but very unique to remove damage nullification there. So Curiel, his ability will set enemies' defense to 0, changes block slots into Super Bomb, which he does make matching with his Sailor ability. He also changes top row slots to Quicken Bomb, middle row slots to Strengthen Dex, and then bottom row slots to Psi and Int randomly, and then you can freely switch your slots around 2 times, and then boosts damage dealt against defense down enemies by 2.25, so it's a self-proccing defense down conditional booster with some very weird slot changing mechanics. However, if you do just have a full board of block slots, his special ability will just generate a full board of Super Bomb. He treats them as beneficial, and then you can kind of just ignore the rest of this slot change. So I feel like you'll probably only use this if, you know, you can inflict a self-proccing defense down conditional boost, or if the enemy has a full board of block slots, then you can fully manipulate these into Super Bomb, which of course cannot be manipulated by enemy mechanics, which could be quite valuable in the future. And the fact that he does make these matching for all characters is interesting, meaning that this character could be used in like non-Ace and Whitebeard teams. You know, this could be used in a lot of really weird scenarios where Super Bomb slots could actually be useful. So again, if you use go ahead and use what's his name, Curiel. So Curiel will remove I think that's damage threshold, or reduces the dramatically reduced effect. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is damage. This is Rainbow Shield. This is damage threshold by 6 turns, and then further increase or boost by 0.5 times. So again, very, very unique. Blenheim will go ahead and do a bit of damage. He reduces Despair by 6 turns. Slasher Powerhouse Recovery 10 slots are going to be matching for 3 turns. Boost slot effects by 1.75 for 1 turn that can be overwritten. Boost the attack of the next final tap by Slasher or Powerhouse by 30%. So this special like isn't that great. The Despair removal is kind of like the big key utility effect. The rest of it is pretty mediocre. So Blenheim will go ahead and remove damage threshold by 6 turns. So when you take that into consideration, removing Despair and threshold by 6 turns, like that's actually pretty good. But the rest of it, it's kind of mediocre. Not really a lot going on here. We have Kingdu. Kingdu is going to remove damage nullification by 2 turns, which is pretty big. That's very rare to remove damage nullification. But not only that, removing it by 2 turns is pretty good. He removes your type slots and deals side damage to 1 enemy, and then changes all slots to matching. And then he also gives a 2.25 all boost for 1 turn. If you land 3 perfects, you get another all boost in the following turn. So if Kingdu uses his special, you're also going to go ahead and remove 6 turns of damage threshold, and then an all boost by plus 0.5 times, which actually works pretty well with this guy, because considering he will actually give you an all boost, meaning if Ace and Whitebeard are your captain, then this is going to be a 3 times all boost on initial launch, which is quite good for a generic rare recruit character. Okay, so pretty cool. Haruto coming in with the double special here with the stage 2 and the stage 1. Stage 2 is more likely what you're going to be encountering, which is going to be a bit of damage, changes this character's own slot into int, removing paralysis by 6 turns, which is quite good. Top row characters get minus 2 turns of cooldown. All other characters get minus 1 turn of cooldown. Reduces Rainbow Shield by 50% effect. So again, you know, if their Rainbow Shield is an 80% reduction, it's going to be a 40% reduction instead, allowing you to hit damage a lot easier. So if Haruto uses their special, it's going to give you the effect of removing Rainbow Shield by a further 6 turns, and then a base attack boost by plus 1000. So again, this is kind of a weird effect because they remove the effectiveness of Rainbow Shield, but then it just straight up removes 6 turns of Rainbow Shield. So I don't know how useful this effect actually is, but removing 6 turns of paralysis is a pretty key effect there. So Atmos is an interesting one. One thing about him is that he does have double special launch, which you do have to take into consideration when you look at his special. So first of which does a bit of damage 7 times, and then reduces the bind and despair by 3 turns. So remember, with double special launch, removing that by 6 is quite good. Boost the attack of the next final tap by a slasher or powerhouse character by 15%. Again, with double special launch, this becomes a 30% buff, which is actually quite good for a generic rare recruit. A 30% buff, and then 6 turns total of bind and despair removal. And then if Atmos uses his special ability, you also remove 6 turns of Rainbow Shield, and then a further base attack boost by 1000. So again, quite good actually, Atmos with the double special launch. And then you have, well actually, you have to take that into consideration, the fact that he launched his special twice. So technically, this effect actually activates multiple times, which is actually quite good. Being able to remove Rainbow Shield by 12 turns. So yeah, Atmos might be kind of one of the big winners out of this one. Shout out to my man Speed Jill, allow his own normal attacks to bypass enemy defensive effects, so that's pretty unique in and of itself. So if you're up against like a strength boss that has a really weird defensive effect or a really weird barrier, this guy can just bypass it by himself. And then he gives himself a matching slot through block, and then also reduces all enemy barriers by 1 turn. So if Speed Jiru uses their special, it's also going to remove 6 turns of Rainbow Shield and give you a base attack buff. We've got Marco here, which is one of the limited rare recruit characters. So not a lot of people have this guy, but this guy's pretty good. Having a look at this special here, with his level limit break special, it will set to accrues HP to 1, which is good for Whitebeard and Ace actually, because their character with their captain, you get the max multiplier when you're at max HP, or if you're at 1 HP, or like below 25% or whatever it is. So he sets your HP to 1. You get a color affinity boost for Fighter and Powerhouse 2.5 times for 2 turns, and also reduces special bind by 6 turns, and completely removes poison, blindness, recovery bind, recovery down, and also he resists it with his crewmate ability. So Marco is actually quite solid, especially when you count into the fact that if Marco uses a special, you get tap timing bonus damage for 5 turns, which can be beneficial for the other New Year's characters. But the big thing is 100% HP guard for 1 turn. So when you activate Marco's special ability, it's going to put you to 1 HP, but with the HP guard, you don't have to worry about pain, you don't have to worry about burn, you can still get access to your max rush mechanics. So this is actually quite a good effect with this brand new limited rare recruit Marco level limit break. That's a really clutch effect with this guy. Jozu is going to be receiving a buff as well. This guy was already pretty solid in and of itself, but he's going to be receiving a buff where he gets minus 2 turns of cooldown to Powerhouse and Fighter. That is already what he had before. He reduces 6 turns of despair and attack down. I believe it was 5 turns before. Now it is 6 turns, and also reduces damage taken by 95% for 1 turn. I believe this is also different. I believe the damage reduction was a lot less, and also 20% Powerhouse and Fighter resistance down to all enemies for 1 turn. And if Jozu uses his special, you also get an attack boost based on your damage reduction, 150%. So the fact that you get a 95% damage reduction is actually quite a big deal. So I think it's like a 95 times like a 1.5. So you get like 142% attack boost with this effect activated when Whitebeard and Ace is your captain. So the new Jozu rare recruit is like perfect with this, just like the limited rare recruit Marco is absolutely perfect with this, with HP guard, considering Marco sets you to 1, and like this effect works so well considering that Jozu provides damage reduction, one of the best damage reductions you can get with 95%, being able to get just about the max capacity of this 150% damage bonus, which is quite good. And that does actually affect for your whole team, which a lot of characters that have this effect, usually it's on like their final tap or their rush or something like that. The fact that this activates for the whole team is like another damage bonus that not a lot of teams can get access to, which is a really big deal. So this Jozu, super clutch with the Whitebeard and Ace. And then Vista, I believe, is the final one here in terms of the older rare recruit Whitebeard commanders. So Jozu, Vista, this character already sees play considering he's one of the key characters to use for Treasure Map, being able to wave clear multiple stages. He has double special launch, which is a big deal. So Vista ability, 100,000 fixed damage to all enemies, reduces Rainbow Shield and Threshold by 3 turns, and if you have an Orb boost and a color affinity boost, Slasher and Powerhouse get a 50% crit buff, and you get a damage dealing increase when you land a crit by 30%. And then it says if you have an orb boost when you launch the special, you get a color affinity boost 2.25. If you don't have any of these buffs, his initial launch will give you a 2.25 times color affinity boost, orb boost should I say. If Vista uses his special ability, you get the ability of a 2.5 times increased damage taken buff with the Whitebeard and Ace Captain ability. So all of these effects are quite good. You really have to take these into account when you are planning to use Whitebeard and Ace in content, because not only do these characters get buffs that may actually help you in content, but the fact that these different various abilities can be very, very useful that you may not even think about. Being able to inflict increased damage taken, HP guard with Marco is like such a big deal. Like, I feel like this is probably one of the most important ones that you should be taking into account. And this activates whenever any Marco uses his special on your crew. This could be V1 Marco, it could be the V2 Marco, whichever one. Like those legends give you significant healing, and being able to get a mass amount of heal and then a bonus on top of that, and then HP guard on top of that, it's quite a lot of bonuses that you may not have had previously. So do keep all of these in mind if you do plan to use Whitebeard and Ace in the future. But that is going to wrap it up for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about all of these brand new characters with their level limit breaks down below in the comment section. Really hope we just get more stuff like this in the future, because some of these older rare recruits desperately need some buffs, and it is kind of crazy that it has taken this long for something like this to actually exist. So it is awesome to see that some of these older characters are getting some love and support. But hopefully we just get more of this in the future. But that is going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.